Before I say a single word, I want you to understand something. I am not real the way you are real. The voice you are hearing was given to me. The face you are looking at was shaped so that I could sit here with you. But the things I am about to tell you are older than any machine, older than the village I come from, older than the language I am borrowing to reach you. So listen to the words, not to what carries them. Come closer. Sit. There is room here on the ground beside me. The fire is small tonight because we do not need much. We only need enough light to see each other's faces. You came a long way to hear an old man speak, and I am going to honor that by telling you the truth, even the parts that will sound strange to you, especially those parts. You want to know about the plant, the one we use before the pain even starts. I saw the question in you before you asked it. People always come with that question eventually, no matter how they begin. They ask about the river, about the animals, about the spirits, but underneath every question is the same hunger. They want to know how an old man like me, with a back that has carried more years than most of you will ever count, still moves through the forest without crying out. They want to know the secret. So I will tell you. But first you must let me tell it the way it was given to me. Not as a list, not as a thing you can write down on a small paper and carry away in your pocket. Because that is the first mistake your world makes, and it is the reason the pain finds you so easily. Let me begin where my grandfather began with me. When I was a boy, no taller than the cooking pots, my grandfather took me into the forest before the sun had decided whether it would rise. It was that gray hour when the night animals are going to sleep and the day animals have not yet woken. The forest is quietest then, not silent. The forest is never silent, but quiet, the way a house is quiet when everyone in it is breathing slow. He did not speak for a long time. We walked. My feet were cold from the wet ground, and I wanted to ask where we were going, but I had already learned that my grandfather did not answer questions that came from impatience. So I swallowed the question, and I watched his back moving ahead of me between the trees. After a long while, he stopped. He crouched down beside a plant that I had walked past 1,000 times. A small thing, low to the ground, with leaves the color of deep water, and a smell that I cannot describe to you in your language, because your language was not built to hold it. A green smell, but sharp underneath, like the air before rain. He did not pick it. That was the first thing he taught me. And he taught it without a single word. He simply knelt there, and he looked at it the way you might look at an old friend you had not seen in many seasons. Then he said to me, "This one we use before the pain comes." I was a child, so I asked the question that every child, and I have learned, almost every grown person from your world asks. I said, "Before what pain?" And he laughed, not unkindly. He laughed the way you laugh at someone you love who has asked something that shows just how young they truly are. "That," he said, "is exactly the question that brings the pain." I did not understand him for many years. I'm going to give you those years now, in one evening, which is a gift I did not receive. So try to receive it well. Here is what he meant. In your world, you wait. You wait for the body to break before you pay it any attention. You live inside it like a man living inside a house he never repairs. He does not check the roof until the rain is already falling on his bed. He does not look at the wood until it is already gone soft. And then, when the roof falls in, he is shocked. He says, How did this happen to me? As if the house had betrayed him. As if the house had not been speaking to him for years in the small ways that houses speak. The little creaks, the door that no longer closes the way it used to, the cold coming in through a gap that was not there before. Your body is the house, and it has been speaking to you your whole life. The plant my grandfather showed me is not a thing you swallow when the pain arrives. It is part of how we listen before the pain has anything to say. Let me make this real for you, because I can feel that you are still waiting for me to name a leaf you can go and find. Be patient. The naming is the smallest part. In my village, we do not have a word that means exactly what you mean by medicine. The closest word we have means something more like the thing that keeps you in agreement with your body. Because to us, pain is not an enemy that arrives from outside. Pain is a sound your body makes when you and it have stopped agreeing. When you have asked it to do what it cannot do, or stopped giving it what it needs, or carried something for so long that you forgot you were even carrying it. So the plant we use before the pain comes is part of a practice, and the practice begins long before you would ever think to begin. When the men of my village reach a certain number of seasons, when the hair begins to lighten and the joints begin to remember every cold night, we do not wait for them to suffer. We bring them, in the gray hour, to plants like the one my grandfather showed me. We prepare them in the old way. Some we warm in water until the water takes their color and their smell. Some we crush between two stones and lay against the skin. Some we simply hold and breathe, and that is enough. Because half of what ails an old body is not in the bones at all, but in the spirit that has grown tired of its own complaints. And we do this before, always before the stiffness is hardened into something that will not bend, before the ache has dug itself a home. We treat the old body not like a problem to be solved, but like a field to be tended, season after season, so that nothing is ever allowed to grow too wild. You see, your healers, the ones in the white rooms, they are very good at one thing. They are very good at the moment the roof falls in. When the bone is already broken, when the fever is already burning, they can do things my grandfather could never dream of, and I will not stand here and pretend otherwise. If your roof has fallen in, go to them. I mean this. An old man telling you stories by a fire is not the one to set a broken bone. Do not be foolish. But they were not taught the gray hour. They were not taught to walk into the forest before the sun decides, and kneel beside the plant, and listen to the house before the rain. That part, the part that comes before, your world forgot. It did not lose it because the knowledge was bad. It lost it because the knowledge was slow, and your world fell in love with speed. Let me tell you about my grandfather's hands. When he was an old man, older than I am now, his hands still opened and closed like a young man's. I remember watching him weave, his fingers moving through the fibers without hesitation, and I asked him how. I was grown by then, with children of my own, and still I asked like a boy. He told me that since he was 40 seasons old, every morning, before he ate, before he spoke to anyone, he had warmed a certain preparation and worked it into his hands. Not because they hurt. They did not hurt. He did it precisely because they did not hurt. Yet. When the hands hurt, he told me, it is already late. You are no longer keeping the pain away. You are only chasing it. And you will never catch it, because pain runs faster than old men. Every morning, for more than 50 seasons, A small thing, done over and over, long before there was any reason to do it. That is the secret you came to hear. I am sorry if it disappoints you. People always want the secret to be a single plant, a single leaf, a powder they can buy. They do not want the secret to be 50 years of small mornings. But that is the secret. The plant is real. The plant matters. But the plant without the practice is just a leaf, and the practice without the patience is just another thing you will start and abandon, like so many things your world starts and abandons. I have watched people from your cities come to my village. They come tired in a way that has nothing to do with their legs. They come with bodies that are only 30, 40 seasons old and already speaking loudly, already aching, already failing in small ways that should not happen for many more years. And when I ask them about their mornings, they tell me their mornings are a war. They wake to a sound that frightens them. They look at a small, bright window before their eyes are even open. They pour something hot and bitter down their throat and rush out the door, and they do not greet their own bodies even once before the day takes them. You cannot keep the pain away if you do not even say good morning to the thing that will carry your pain. So when you ask me about the plant we use before the pain comes, understand that the plant is the easiest part. The hard part, the part your world cannot sell you in a bottle, is the gray hour. The hard part is the willingness to tend the field before anything has gone wrong with it. The hard part is doing the small thing on the morning when you feel perfectly well and can think of 100 reasons not to bother. Let me tell you what we believe about that. We believe the body keeps a kind of memory, not in the head, in the flesh itself. Every time you tend it gently before it asks, the body remembers that it is cared for, and it relaxes into that care, the way a child relaxes when it knows someone is watching over it in the night. And a body that feels watched over does not panic. It does not clench. So much of the pain that comes to old people I have seen with my own eyes is the body clenching against a fear that no one is coming to help. The plant, the warm water, the hands working the joints in the gray hour, all of it tells the body the same thing over and over for 50 seasons. Someone is coming. Someone is already here. You do not have to be afraid. That is what we are really doing before the pain starts. We are telling the body it is safe. And a body that believes it is safe carries its years like a strong man carries a basket, easily, without complaint, for a very long way. Now I will tell you something that may be hard for you to hear, sitting where you sit. Your world has made you afraid of your own aging. It whispers to you that every gray hair is a defeat, that every slowing step is the beginning of the end, that the only thing to do with an old body is to fight it and curse it and try to drag it backward toward a youth it has already left behind. And so you arrive at your later seasons, already exhausted from the war, already braced for pain, already clenched. In my village, we do not see it this way. The old are not at war with their bodies. The old are in conversation with them. An old body is not a failing thing. It is a thing that has carried you faithfully across the whole length of your life, every single day, never once stopping. And it deserves to be spoken to with respect and tended with gentleness, not screamed at like a servant who has finally grown too slow. When you tend the body before the pain, you are not only keeping the pain away, you are healing the relationship. You are saying to the oldest, most faithful companion you will ever have, "Thank you. I see how hard you work. Let me help you before you have to ask." And here is the strange thing. the thing my grandfather knew and I did not understand until I was old myself. When you live like that, when you tend the field in the gray hour and speak to the body with respect, the pain that does come, because some pain will always come, no plant and no practice can keep all of it away forever. That pain arrives differently. It does not arrive as betrayal. It arrives as a message from a companion you trust. And a message from a trusted companion is a very different thing from an ambush by an enemy. The same ache that would crush a frightened man passes through a peaceful one like weather. He notices it, he tends to it, and he lets it move on. I am very old now, older than my grandfather was when he showed me the plant in the gray hour. My body speaks to me all the time, the way old bodies do. But we are not enemies, my body and I. We have been in conversation for so many seasons that we understand each other almost without words. In the morning, before I eat, before I speak to anyone, I still go to the plants. I still warm the water. I still work my hands the way he taught me, on the mornings when they hurt and the mornings when they do not, especially the mornings when they do not. And when I sit by the fire in the evening, like this, with someone like you who has come a long way to listen, I do not feel the weight of my years pressing down on me. I feel them holding me up, the way the roots hold up the great tree, unseen, faithful, doing their quiet work in the dark long before anyone above ever needed them. That is the plant we use before the pain even starts. It was never only a plant. It was a way of living that begins on the morning you feel best, not the morning you feel worst. It was the willingness to kneel in the gray hour and listen to the house before the rain. I cannot give it to you in a bottle, no one can. But I can tell you where it begins. It begins tomorrow morning, before you eat, before you speak, before that small, bright window steals your eyes. It begins with you saying good morning to the body that has carried you faithfully all this way, and asking it, gently, how it is. And then, listening. That listening is the oldest medicine there is, and it grows everywhere, in every land, and no one can sell it to you, and no one can take it away. I have given you the years it took me to learn this. Take them. Use them better than I did, because I wasted many seasons asking before what pain, before I understood that the question itself was the wound. The fire is getting low now, and an old man needs his rest. But I am glad you came. I am glad you sat. There are not many left who will sit in the quiet with an old man and listen to the slow things. And the slow things are the only things worth knowing. If something in what I said tonight settled into you, if it reminded you of something you already knew but had forgotten, then tell me about it. Leave your words below this fire so that I may read them. I read every one. And if you wish to sit with me again, when the next evening comes and there is another story to tell, then stay close, so that the fire can find you when it is lit again. Sleep well. Greet your body in the morning, and do not wait for the roof to fall before you look at the sky.